Oh hey, it's Wes. And today, I want to talk about something that's all the rage. You've seen Peter McKinnon doing it, so it must be good. The new Freewell magnetic glow mist filters. Is this exactly the same thing as something we've seen before? Well, for one, this isn't a combo product. So this is a standalone mist filter system. If you don't know what a mist filter is for, or a glow filter, essentially it softens your image. It's designed for video to make a highly digital video look a little bit more filmic. So it gives a little bit of bloom to the lights, to the highlights, blends things a little bit, also softens the image. Now one might ask the question, why would you buy a very sharp lens only to soften it up? Now we're looking for a particular look, and these new glow or mist filters are specifically designed to create a little bloom, a little smoothness, while reducing the sharpness as little as possible. Just give a little something something in there. Now does this do that? That is the question, and we're gonna definitely find that out today. So the unique thing about these ones is that it uses the Freewell magnetic attachment system, which gives you a magnetic lens cap, as well as the magnetic mist filter. Freewell sent me over two of these mist filters. We have a 1/8 and a 1/4. And I tested them both out. We're gonna have lots of samples just a little bit later in the video, but first let's have a look at the build of this. It is a surprisingly thin ring for something that is designed to be magnetic quick swap. So you got your lens here, boom. You got your glow filter on the lens. Very easy to go on and off. Now what I did find, I had used Freewell filters in the past, such as these ND filters. For some reason, I have had a little more difficulty with the lens cap. Now, you don't have to use the magnetic lens cap, but as soon as I put this on, the glow filter wants to come off with it. And you gotta be real careful. Now, it's great to have a good lens cap that doesn't fall off easily, but I would like to see the filter itself stay on a little bit better than the cap. If you want one thing to fall off, it's the lens cap, not the filter. And so with the Freewell system, you can take this, you can take any of the other Freewell filters and interchange them. So I have the Freewell magnetic attachment on here. I can put on the ND filter. I can put on the glow mist filter. They all stack real easy to do. Now, I do advise against heavily stacking these filters because for each one you put on, you're gonna have to be further reducing image quality, especially when you're using a glow filter. And up close, there's not a huge difference. I'm shooting this video in 4K. That's why we're at 24p instead of 60p as we normally are, because I don't have an A7S III, so I cannot shoot 4K 60. Now first, here we are, we're outside, freezing cold day. Sorry I didn't bring out my tripod because, oh boy, it was cold. I wanted to get that over with as quickly as possible. But as you can see, using a lens that's already a little bit dreamy, the 35 1.4 Zeiss, it adds a little bit of bloom. And in this type of image, I'm shooting this in 4K, you can't really tell that much what the difference is. It's not that bad, the sharpness difference isn't that great. I find the effect of the bloom between the 1/8 and the 1/4 to be hardly any different, but the effect of the smoothing is a lot different. And so I'm just gonna say this right up front here as we're looking at these image samples. I much prefer the 1/8 over the 1/4. I find the 1/4 makes things too soft. But there is a bit of bias here in that I don't mind the digital look that much. I like things to be really crisp, really sharp. I'm not a huge fan of the filmic look. I know, maybe I'm a heretic, but I'm fine with leaving that filmic look for Instagram filters and stuff for now, or actual film. Film's one thing, digital's another. They don't have to be the same thing. Now I also tried to use an uncompromisingly sharp and clinical lens with these filters, see if that makes much more of a difference. So we have our dreamy lens, we have our very sharp lens, the 90mm macro. It's got almost no character and it's ridiculously sharp. Let's see how that turns out. we look at faces now, one note about this footage is I pumped up my backlight as high as it could go. I pumped up my side lights as high as they could go, and that's why there's a lot of weird color in this video. There's a crazy amount of spill, and I wanted to see if those filters cause any extra issues with spill, and honestly they don't. It's mostly just light coming forward into the lens that's affected by this. This is something that is really what these lenses are intended for, smoothing things out, being more flattering. I have found that, yes, it smooths things out a bit, but obviously you're going to get some loss of contrast here. Things aren't going to pop quite as well. So up close is not a big difference, but what I found is at a distance, people's faces, they get a little bit too soft. Here's the 1/4 filter. And if I get back this far, if you're watching this in 4K, even at 1080p, if it's large enough, you're going to see a noticeable reduction in the detail in my face. Now, what I can do, I can actually put the 1/8 easy peasy right on top of the 1/4. That's how easy it is to use these filters. Not bad, but very soft now. And now we're just gonna go to the 1/8. So this is my favorite look of all of them. Is there a huge difference here? No, and that's kind of the whole idea. It's a subtle look, it's a subtle change, it just rounds things off just a little bit. Honestly, these are not the tool for me, possibly at a wedding where I'm trying to make a bit of a dreamy look, but generally speaking, I like that digital look. It's fine by me. Now, I had thought at one point to take some image samples to compare sharpness, but that really wouldn't be fair. These things are not designed to resolve 24 or 61 megapixels. These are designed to smooth out film resolution. We're talking 1080p, 4K, definitely not 8K. And 4K video, that's only like 8 to 12 megapixels. That's not a lot of resolution. So let's not pixel peep too much here. It's not about the fine details, it's about the overall shot that you're getting out of this. And one issue that surprised me, but shouldn't have come as a surprise with using these filters is, it becomes much more difficult to use manual focus and focus peaking, because obviously these are smoothing the edges of the image. Where there once was a hard contrasty edge, the whole point of these is to smooth out, soften out those hard contrasty edges. And so focus peaking is a lot harder to use when you're using these mist filters. But there you have it, you've seen the results. You don't really need to know my opinion because you've got all that stuff to look at yourself. Let me know what you think of this trend. Let me know what you think of these Freewell filters specifically. Do you think they're good enough? Do you think they punch above their weight class? Well, what is their weight class? This is how much they cost, and this is how much the Peter McKinnon versions cost from Polar Pro. Is it worth the difference? In some ways they're easier to use, so that's an advantage, but in some ways it's less useful because you don't have an included VND or variable neutral density filter. In some ways that's better because you get to choose to take just one thing with you. So that's up to you to decide. Let me know what you think, and I'll get back to you down in the comments. Until next time, let's go take some photos.